Banco Central Heist, Brazil, 2005. In early 2004, in Fortaleza, Brazil, a highly organized gang, led by figures like Antonio Jusivan Alves dos Santos, began planning what would become one of the largest bank robberies in history. And instead of using force, they rented a small property near the Banco Central branch, and posed as a landscaping company called Grama Sintética, which gave them cover as they secretly began digging a tunnel that would eventually stretch around 78 meters directly beneath the bank vault, reinforcing it with wood and plastic, installing electric lighting and even ventilation systems so they could work underground for months without suspicion. And by August 6, 2005, after roughly 3 months of digging, they finally broke through the vault floor over a weekend when the bank was closed, carefully selecting only used banknotes that were untraceable and loading them into bags, escaping with approximately 160 million Brazilian reais, around $70 million at the time, without triggering alarms. But the perfect crime began to unravel when members of the group started spending large amounts of money openly, drawing police attention. And through surveillance, tips, and financial tracking, authorities arrested several suspects, including Antonio, in 2005. Though much of the money was never recovered, and some gang members were later kidnapped or killed by other criminals over disputes about the stolen cash. Antwerp diamond heist, Belgium, 2003. In the late 1990s, Italian thief Leonardo Notarbartolo quietly began planning a long-term infiltration of the Antwerp Diamond Center, one of the most secure vault complexes in the world. And over the course of several years, he rented an office inside the building under a fake identity, gaining trust and access while carefully studying every layer of security, including infrared sensors, seismic detectors, magnetic locks, and timed vault systems. And by February 15, 2003, he and his team executed their plan over a weekend by bypassing multiple security systems, using techniques like spraying hairspray on heat sensors to disable them, and using custom-made tools to open the vault, successfully accessing 123 of the 160 safe deposit boxes and stealing diamonds, gold, and jewelry, estimated at over $100 million. But despite the near-perfect execution, their downfall came days later when evidence was dumped in a forest near Brussels, including a bag containing tools and a half-eaten sandwich, which was traced through DNA and fingerprints back to the gang, eventually leading to Leonardo's arrest in 2005, though most of the stolen diamonds were never recovered and are believed to have been sold on the black market. Dunbar Armored Heist, USA, 1997. On the morning of September 12, 1997, in Los Angeles, Alan Pace, a former employee of Dunbar Armored, who had been fired months earlier, returned to the company with a carefully constructed plan that relied entirely on insider knowledge he had gained while working there, having memorized security routines, camera blind spots, and vault procedures. And after recruiting 5 of his childhood friends, he used his access to enter the facility early that morning and subtly disable the security cameras, allowing his crew to enter unnoticed, and within about 30 minutes, they loaded nearly $18.9 million in cash into a U-Haul truck directly from the vault, without any alarms being triggered, making it the largest cash robbery in U.S. history. At the time. But their success was short-lived, as several members began spending the money recklessly on luxury items, drawing suspicion, and eventually, one of the conspirators cooperated with authorities, leading to the arrest of Alan Pace and his crew in 1998, with a large portion of the stolen money later recovered by police. Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist, USA, 1990. In the early hours of March 18, 1990, just after 1:24 a.m. in Boston, 2 men dressed as Boston police officers rang the buzzer at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, claiming they were responding to a disturbance. And despite strict rules against letting anyone in after hours, the young security guards allowed them entry, at which point the men revealed their true intentions by handcuffing and duct taping the guards in the basement before spending the next 81 minutes calmly moving through the museum, selecting specific pieces of art, including works by Vermeer, Rembrandt, and Degas, cutting canvases directly from their frames rather than removing them intact, and escaping with 13 artworks valued today at over $500 million, making it the largest art theft in history. And despite decades of investigation involving the FBI, organized crime leads, and multiple suspects, no one has ever been definitively charged, and none of the stolen art has been recovered, leaving the empty frames still hanging in the museum as a reminder of the unsolved crime. Brussels Airport Diamond Heist, Belgium 2013. On the evening of February 18, 2013, at around 8 p.m., a group of 8 heavily organized criminals executed one of the most precise airport heists ever recorded, when they breached the perimeter of Brussels Airport by cutting through a security fence and driving 2 vehicles directly onto the tarmac, where a Swiss-bound plane was being loaded with diamonds worth approximately $50 million. And dressed in police-like uniforms and armed with weapons, but firing no shots, they quickly intercepted the transport vehicle, forced the handlers to the ground, and transferred the diamonds into their own vehicles in under 10 minutes, before escaping the airport just as calmly as they had entered, leaving authorities stunned at how easily they bypassed multiple layers of airport security. And although several suspects linked to organized crime were arrested, in the following years, much of the stolen diamonds were never recovered, suggesting the operation was highly coordinated, with connections to international networks. Hatton Garden Heist, London, 2015. During the Easter weekend of April 2015 in London, a group of elderly career criminals, including Brian Reeder, Terry Perkins, and Danny Jones, carried out a meticulously planned burglary targeting the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company, located in the city's historic jewelry district. And taking advantage of the holiday closure, they broke into the building and accessed the basement vault area, where they used a heavy industrial drill to bore through a thick concrete wall over multiple nights, returning repeatedly between April 2nd and April 5th to open dozens of safety deposit boxes and steal cash, jewelry, and valuables estimated at up to £14 million. But despite their experience, the gang made several critical mistakes, including leaving behind CCTV footage showing their movements and tools. And as police pieced together evidence, they were able to identify and arrest the suspects within weeks, with the case gaining widespread media attention due to the advanced age of the criminals, many of whom were in their 60s and 70s, leading to their nickname, the Bad Grandpas. Great Train Robbery, UK, 1963. In the early hours of August 8, 1963, a gang of 15 men, led by Bruce Reynolds, executed a bold plan targeting a Royal Mail train traveling from Glasgow to London, and after tampering with signals to force the train to stop near Brygo Bridge in Buckinghamshire, they boarded the train wearing masks and quickly overpowered the crew, uncoupling the front section and forcing the driver to move the train to a remote location, where they spent about 15 minutes unloading 120 mail bags containing £2.6 million in cash, which would be worth tens of millions today, before escaping in Land Rovers to a nearby farm hideout. But the gang's downfall came when they left behind fingerprints and other forensic evidence at the farm, allowing police to track down and arrest most of the members within months, though Bruce Reynolds managed to evade capture for several years before eventually being caught in 1968. Etas Depot Heist, UK, 2006. On the night of February 21, 2006, in Tonbridge, Kent, a group of criminals led by Paul Allen carried out what would become the largest cash robbery in British history by targeting a Securitas cash depot. Instead of directly attacking the facility, they kidnapped the depot manager, Colin Dixon, along with his wife and child, and forced him under threat to cooperate. Later that night, the gang entered the depot posing as police officers and subdued staff before gaining access to the secure cash storage areas. They loaded approximately £53 million into a truck over several hours before fleeing. The scale of the crime triggered an intense nationwide investigation, Within weeks, police arrested multiple suspects, including Paul Allen, recovering around £21 million of the stolen cash. A significant portion remains missing to this day.